Hello, everybody. My name's Amy, and I'm a librarian. I live in Devon, which is about 400 approximate miles from where you are in Blythe, way up in the north. And now Badger's asked me to do something quite special for you today. She's asked me to help with bedtime story. And I understand that this bedtime story is part of your virtual family fun day for the Beavers. And thank you for asking me to do this. As a librarian, obviously, I love books and reading, so it's great that I can do a bedtime story for you today. So I really hope that you're keeping up with your reading habits as well. And wanted to tell you about the summer reading challenge, which is called Silly Squad this year. You can go along to the website sillysquad.org.uk, and there's all sorts of reading challenges and recommendations to help you with your reading. If you do some reading also, you can print off a certificate and get yourself some digital rewards as well. So I'm going to get going with the story, and I've chosen this one, Lottie Lipton Adventure. And the adventure is The Curse of the Cairo Cat, and that is by Dan Metcalf. Now, I know Dan Metcalf myself. I have worked with him on quite a few occasions, and he's brilliant. And this book is part of a series of books, so you should be able to find them at your local library or your local bookseller. So I'm going to get stuck in with the read. So I hope you're sitting comfortably. Cuddled up on the sofa, you might be getting ready to go to sleep, and I'll begin. So, chapter 1, I'm just going to do chapter 1, and we're in London. So, Lottie burst through the heavy oak doors and into the darkened corridor. Hide! I've got to hide, she whispered, her eyes darting about for a suitable place to conceal herself. Along each side of the darkened corridor were glass cabinets and display cases filled with ancient trinkets and artifacts. Lottie! She heard him behind her, not far away now. She could hear each pounding step he took. Her heart raced. Got to be quick, she muttered, and darted under a nearby table. Its legs were covered with a red velvet curtain, which she neatly rearranged so it looked like no one else had been there. I know you're in here, sang the man's voice. He was closer than she had realized. She parted the velvet curtain ever so slightly and peeked out. There he was, silhouetted in the light from the previous room, his large body casting a vast shadow. He stepped forward, closer and closer to her hiding place. He was next to her now. Her heart beat loudly as she curled herself into a ball, desperate not to be found. She closed her eyes tightly and waited for the moment to come. Suddenly, the entire corridor was flooded with light. Professor West, called a familiar voice. Package just arrived for you. Oh, goody, goody, said the figure next to Lottie. Lottie, you can come out now. Lottie sighed with disappointment. Oh. She had been enjoying playing hide and seek. She crawled out from her hiding place and smiled up at the seeker, a rotund gentleman with white hair, dressed in a shabby linen suit. I win, she declared. Honestly, Uncle Bert, I was right next to you. Oh, not fair, sulked Uncle Bert. You were supposed to stick to the Egyptian section. This case is clearly from northern Sudan. They bickered as they paced along the corridors of the British Museum. Lottie Lipton had lived in the grounds of the museum since she was 4, when her archaeologist parents were killed on a dig in Egypt. Since then, she had been cared for by her great-uncle, Professor Bertram West. He worked as the curator of Egyptology at the British Museum in London, where the two of them lived in a small ramshackle apartment. In truth, it was Lottie who looked after her uncle. He was famously absent-minded, and Lottie would often have to remind him of his appointments, cook his breakfast, and even tie his bow tie for him. In her spare time, she had the run of the museum. She did not go to school, but instead read voraciously from the museum library and was tutored by her Uncle Bert and her friend Reg, the kindly old caretaker. He too lived on the grounds and was a mine of information. It was from him that Lottie knew how to tune a piano, address a bishop, and even throw a knife. It was Reg who had interrupted their game of hide and seek, and he led them to the main entrance where a package was waiting. Uncle Bert set about opening the package crate with a crowbar. When he had finished, a large golden statue stood before them. Lottie had never seen anything so beautiful. The Golden Cat of Cairo is the centrepiece to my new exhibition. The Pharaohs worshipped felines, you see, and this was made to commemorate the passing of one of the royal pets. Ah, it's marvellous, breathed Lottie, unable to take her eyes off of it. Legend has it that the statue is cursed, continued Uncle Bert. It comes to life every night and prowls around causing mischief. Poppycock, snapped a voice from behind him. They turned to see Sir Trevelyan Taylor, the head curator of the museum. He was a thin, weasel-faced man, and he had never liked Lottie or Uncle Bert. He tried at every opportunity to get them out of their home at the British Museum, not caring for even a second where they might go. He looked the statue up and down, frowning. Uncle Bert, when will you learn that archaeology is about facts, not spooky curses? Now make sure this beastly object is in position for the grand opening tomorrow. We've got some very important guests coming, and I'm relying on their donations to keep the museum running. If we don't make our target, I'll know who to blame, he said, stalking off. The Professor looked at his companions and blushed. Poppycock, of course. There's no such thing as curses. He patted the giant cat on the head. Ho-hum, we'd better get this in place. The exhibition opens tomorrow. The night of the grand opening of the exhibition came, and Lottie was busy helping her great-uncle prepare. He had to give a speech in front of a room full of guests, and he was extremely nervous. Sir Trevelyan's threats really hadn't helped. You'll be fine, Lottie assured him, practically pushing him out onto the podium. The Golden Cat of Cairo stood next to him inside a display case hidden by a large sheet. He mumbled through his speech with his eyes glued to his feet until it was time to unveil the main exhibit. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to... Lottie smiled as she prepared to pull the sheet. The splendid... Uncle Bert was shaking with fear, praying that everyone liked his new exhibit. The striking... Here we go, thought Lottie. The Golden Cat of Cairo. Lottie whipped away the sheet to reveal... nothing. The audience gasped, and Uncle Bert turned to the empty display case. It was here earlier, he said, confused. Lottie rushed to his side. She smiled at the audience, but caught the eye of Sir Trevelyan. He marched up to them and took Uncle Bert aside. Honestly, Bertram, half of London is here tonight. If you make a fool of the museum again, I won't be responsible for my actions. You have 1 hour to find this cat, or you'll be asked to leave the museum for good. Lottie's smile faded as he marched away. Oh, Uncle Bert, we have to find the statue or we'll be homeless. Where did you put it? Here, I promise you, said Uncle Bert, mopping his brow. Wait. It could be. The curse? I thought you said that was all poppycock. Trouble brewing, said Reg, appearing by their side. Here, I found this behind the cabinet. He handed Lottie a small papyrus scroll, no bigger than the palm of her hand. Inside it read, "By night I prowl past stone and sand, through oceans deep to ancient lands. Find me where the rising sun shines round and red, we'll have such fun." "But what does it mean?" said Lottie. "It means the curse is real, very real indeed," muttered Uncle Bert. "As for the riddle, I haven't the faintest idea." Lottie, Uncle Bert and Reg huddled together the tiny scroll, attempting to make sense of the cryptic riddle. Uncle Bert scratched his head and fiddled with his bow tie nervously. "Oh, it's no good, I'm too nervous to think." Lottie rolled her eyes in desperation and concentrated. "I'm sure it's quite simple. We just need to take it one step at a time. By night I prowl past stone and sand." "Stone and sand, it must mean the pyramids and the desert," said Lottie. "Of course, it means it's left the Egyptology section," smiled Uncle Bert. "Through oceans deep to ancient lands." "Oh no, it's gone abroad." Uncle Bert's smile fell. "Or more likely it's left the African section altogether," said Reg. "Find me where the rising sun shines round and red, we'll have such fun." "Ah, the little troublemaker is playing with us," said Reg. Lottie tried to concentrate. She knew the words meant something, but what? Can you guess? Inspiration hit her in a flash. It's talking about Japan, the land of the rising sun. The national flag is a red circle on a white background. The three rejoice, congratulating each other on completing the riddle. "So what are we waiting for?" said Lottie. "Let's go to ancient Japan." So thank you very much for joining me for story time. I hope you have a lovely sleep this evening. So I've been reading from The Curse of the Cairo Cat by Dem Metcalf. Don't forget to complete all of your challenges and submit them by 4 p.m. on Sunday. Good luck!